my early gym days, I made a lot of mistakes that slowed my progress. Believe me, 99% of beginners make these same mistakes. I want to save your time, frustration, and help you get the best results. I'm Steven, a nutritionist from HKU and a current physio student. If you are serious about seeing results like I did, stick around. You might think you know the best way to build muscle, but what if I told you that one of the most popular gym tips could actually slow down your progress? When I started going to the gym, a friend taught me how to lift. He was older and more experienced. The first thing he told me was, machines are bad. They are only for beginners or people who don't train hard. Real men only use 3 weights. That idea stuck with me for years. My first few years of training were all about dumbbells and barbells. Barbell squat, barbell bench press, deadlift, even some clean and jerks. To be honest, I didn't enjoy barbell squat and bench press, but I did them anyway, even though I didn't see much progress. As I learned more about exercise science, I realized I was limiting myself. In fact, 3 weights and machines are equally important, but which one you should use depends on your goal, body structures, and personal preferences. If you're a powerlifter, you will need to do more barbell exercises because that's what the competition requires. It's all about specificity in strength training. But if your goal is to build muscle like me, you have a wide variety of choices. Personally, I train more on machines than free weights. Machines offer stability, freeing up energy to focus on progressive overload. Also, my body structure isn't the best fit for barbell exercises. I feel much better using machines. There's no best exercise for everyone, but there is a best exercise for you. Not everyone is built the same. Factors like joint structures and bone length play a vital role in exercise selection. If you got a long femurs, a full squat might be tough for you. On the other hand, if your femurs are shorter, you will find it easier to stay upright doing a squat. This is a simple explanation. There are other factors to consider, but you get the idea. By the way, if you're finding these tips helpful, I send out a newsletter with one simple science-backed tip weekly, and you can check the link in the description to sign up for my newsletter. So let's get back. Don't fixate on perfect exercises, like men should do barbell squats. That's nonsense because those statements assume we are all the same in terms of body structure. But the reality is we are not. How do you know which exercise is best for you? Tried it and failed it. Your body will tell you as long as you have a great technique. And that's exactly the second mistake that I made as a beginner. It cost me not just my progress, but also my health. It's a common mistake I see at the gym every day. When I first stepped into the gym, I got caught up in the numbers. I wanted to lift heavier, be stronger, and look like I knew what I was doing. But in reality, I was building my ego, not my muscles. The weights I used were way beyond what I could handle. I lift heavy with poor technique and not stimulating muscle growth. I often felt joint and muscle pain. I didn't realize that lifting more weights doesn't mean getting more stimulus. For example, when I bench press 50 kg with poor technique and a limited range of motion, my pec muscle may only receive 5 kg of tension. But if I reduce the weight to 35 kg and use proper technique, my pec muscle may be receive 25 kg of tension. Also, the fact is, people are more impressed by how well you lift the weight, not just how much you lift the weight. Here are a few tips to improve your technique easily. First, record your training videos and compare them with reliable trainers in the fitness industry. I'm not saying you can achieve the same technique as those experienced lifters, but at least try not to be too far off. Second, try to use the full range of motion. Yes, there are studies showing that doing partial range of motion in a lengthened position is better than full range, but I suggest starting with a full range of motions to learn how to control the weight all the way up and down as a beginner. Lastly, control your weight, especially in the eccentric part of the movement. Take at least 1 to 2 seconds where your muscles lengthen. Don't swing the weight unless you are experienced or understand why you are doing it. Swinging doesn't necessarily mean bad. It can change the strength profile or combat the inertial effect, but it is a tool for experienced lifters. For beginners, try to control the weight as much as possible. Remember, don't train your ego, train your body. I hope you can skip these mistakes because it took me some painful lesson to learn it. Literally painful. Because at the same time, I made my third mistake and it caused me some serious consequences, and it's something many people overlook. Back then, I didn't only lift more weight than I could handle, but I also trained more than my body could recover. Forgot to mention, I was also a handball player, so I had to train for handball and muscle at the time. I trained 3 to 4 days a week on the court and 6 to 7 days a week in the gym. Like a morning in the gym and night in the court. At that time, I believed in the motto, no pain, no gain. If I wanted to be the best, I thought I need to do whatever it took. But it didn't take long for my body to start breaking down. I remember having a prolonged back pain at that period. Sometimes I couldn't even walk. I visited physiotherapists hundreds of times. which really inspired me to study physio. But my condition didn't improve until COVID hit. Due to COVID, I had to stop handball training, and suddenly I felt refreshed. My gym performance skyrocketed, and I finally realized how important recovery is. I learned that adaptation occurs with sufficient recovery, otherwise your performance declines. No pain, no gain doesn't mean more pain, more gain. There's a threshold. Once you exceed it, you get diminishing returns. Even worse, the more you train, the weaker you are. So how can you optimize your recovery? Here are some tips. First, control your training volume. There's no fixed rules, but for beginners, start with 10 to 20 sets per muscle group per week. Don't think it's too little. If you trained really hard, train to failure. Even 5 sets can be tough. If it feels easy after 10 sets, you just didn't train hard enough. Focus on quality before quantity. Quantity means nothing without quality. As you progress, you may do more sets depending on your response. Second, you should have a proper nutrition. Ensure sufficient protein intake around 1.2 to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. Aim for a calorie surplus. You don't need to do a dirty bulk. You don't need to be too very fat. Just increase your body weight slowly by about 0.1 to 0.25% weekly. Third, sleep well. Aim for 6 to 8 hours each night. Don't overlook the importance of sleep. Recently, my sleep was terrible because I was busy with making online content and going to school. I only slept 4 to 6 hours for the past 2 weeks, and my gym performance was so bad. Also, don't skip rest day. We need rest days to maximize our performance and gains. You don't need to train 7 days a week. Try to avoid these 3 mistakes and you will see amazing results. You might see some fat gain after training, and that's totally normal. You can focus on losing fat later. If you are worried about gaining face fat, check out my video on how to lose face fat.